Well then YouTube, let's try this again for the third time. I ran out of storage space the last time because I hadn't deleted videos from my iPhone. So, it's been a while since I did a video. I'm smoking my Bent Country Gentleman and in it I have some Robert McConnell's Scotch Flake. It's a beautiful day on the last day of June and I'm having a beautiful walk out in the woods with my pipe, doing my job, which is lovely ordinarily, but for the fact that this is the bit of my job I don't like so much, because what I'm doing is I'm standing here and if you see behind me there is a plantation with a lot of larch trees, and unfortunately in this country and since about 2009 we've had a disease that's been romping through our larch trees and killing them all very quickly, and that disease is called Phytophthora ramorum. Actually it's not a disease per se, it's a pathogen, a kind of fungus, and it's actually an oocyte, which is a bit of an odd term, but it's kind of like a fungus, you could say. Now this is a disease that got into this country, a pathogen rather, that got into this country and was first identified over here in about 2008, 2009, maybe a little earlier, I can't really remember. But the reason it's here in this country is because we imported it on rhododendron trees, which were sold to people to put in their gardens to look pretty. And because we have some pretty lax plant import laws, we imported a load of these infected rhododendrons. And since then the infection has escaped into the wider environment, into the natural environment, and it's killing all of our larch trees, amongst other things as well. So what I'm doing here today is the organisation for which I work, we survey a lot of these woodlands. Essentially the pathogen is on a blacklist, you could say. So when it's identified, we issue what we call a plant health notice, which obliges a woodland owner to fell and cut down those trees that are infected, which, if you like trees as much as I do, is a bit of a shame, because this woodland here right behind me, this is somebody's hard work, this is someone's livelihood. It's not very nice to look after a woodland for a long time and then find out you have to fell it. So it's not a bit of the job that I particularly like doing. But unfortunately it does need to be done, the reason being that the pathogen itself, it sporulates, it chucks out all of its spores, its way of reproducing, right up there in the top of the canopy, and they get picked up on wet air currents, wet moist currents, and get blown into the next guy's woodland, and the next guy's woodland, and the next guy's woodland, and so on. Basically as soon as we identify it, we have to cut it down. So what I'm doing here today is I'm having a bit of a walk around to see what it's like on the ground. Now you can't really see this thing from the ground. We actually have a specialist helicopter team that flies up over the woodlands and identifies it in the canopy. And from that then we produce these maps, and then we'll work with owners to organise a felling, what we call a coop, a felling program essentially, that works for everybody. But as I say, it's a shitty part of my job. I don't like doing it, because I like trees and I recognise this is someone's hard work. But there you go, unfortunately it has to be done, and it's indicative really of well, poor import restrictions, that we allow this constant flow of, as I say, this particular time around it was rhododendrons, but we have other diseases in this country now, from on our ash trees for example, which are quite an iconic species of tree here in this country. That's come from elsewhere in Europe, in the Balkan area we believe, also through imports. So you know, these are things that are essentially, they're changing the nature of our woodlands as we know them over here. And you combine that with climate change, and yes, it is real. Certainly for the last 10-15 years or so in this country, we've gone through a period of very wet and mild winters, really hardly any frosts a lot of the time, hardly any snow in this part of the country. So diseases like this that really love the mild and wet climate of the southwest of England tend to do very well over the winter months, and they don't go into any kind of dormancy or anything caused by cold. So yeah, we've got a bunch of issues there in that respect, but there we go. It's a changing world. But I thought I'd show you the beautiful woodland that I'm standing in. It's been a while since I did a video, so it being such a beautiful day, I thought I'd take you for a walk. I will catch you guys later on. See you later.